We are checked by ABC News. But
We're checked by everybody.
Yeah, I mean, if we're wrong, we have, the legal note here.
The ongoing feud between Joe Rogan and the hosts of The View has escalated into a dramatic legal battle, with Rogan filing a $150 million defamation lawsuit against the daytime talk show. This conflict, rooted in a series of inflammatory remarks made on air, highlights deeper tensions about media credibility, freedom of speech, and the consequences of unchecked rhetoric. The View, a long-standing platform known for its outspoken hosts and polarizing discussions, has found itself in a precarious position, facing a lawsuit that could redefine accountability in broadcast media. Meanwhile, Rogan, a podcasting giant with a massive following, is leveraging his platform to challenge what he perceives as reckless misinformation. This saga, filled with accusations, ideological clashes, and public spectacle, is as much about cultural divides as it is about legal principles. The controversy began during a typical episode of The View, where hosts Whoopi Goldberg, Joy Behar, Sunny Hostin, and Sarah Haynes engaged in their signature blend of heated debate and commentary. Known for tackling everything from politics to pop culture, the show often courts controversy, but this time the target was Joe Rogan. The hosts criticized Rogan's podcast, The Joe Rogan Experience, which boasts millions of listeners and a reputation for unfiltered conversations with a wide range of guests, from scientists to comedians to conspiracy theorists. The View's panel accused Rogan of spreading dangerous misinformation, specifically claiming that he posed a public health risk by promoting unverified claims on his show. But the segment took a particularly inflammatory turn when one host, in a now infamous exchange, declared that Rogan believes in dragons and suggested that he thought these mythical creatures roamed the earth alongside humans. This claim, presented as fact, stemmed from a misinterpretation of a discussion Rogan had with a wildlife biologist on his podcast. The biologist had explored the possibility of ancient creatures resembling dragons in a speculative, scientific context, but The View's hosts framed it as Rogan endorsing a fantastical belief. To make matters worse, the hosts doubled down on their assertion, with one claiming they had double-checked the information, citing their affiliation with ABC News as a badge of credibility. The audience was told to trust The View over Rogan because their claims were vetted by a reputable news organization, while Rogan was painted as an unreliable figure peddling absurd ideas. The dragon comment, while seemingly trivial, became a flashpoint. It encapsulated The View's broader narrative that Rogan was not just controversial, but a societal threat. The hosts accused him of disseminating misinformation so severe it could lead to physical harm, a charge that went far beyond mere criticism of his podcast content. They suggested his influence was dangerous, particularly in the context of public health debates, and called for platforms like Spotify, which hosts Rogan's podcast, to impose disclaimers or guidelines to curb his reach. These accusations were not framed as opinions, but as undeniable truths, broadcast to millions of viewers with the confidence that only a major network platform can amplify. Rogan, known for his willingness to engage in contentious debates, did not take the attack lightly. Rather than responding with a podcast rant or social media retort, he opted for a more formidable approach, a $150 million defamation lawsuit against The View and its parent company, ABC. The lawsuit alleges that the host's statements were not only false but deliberately damaging, accusing them of presenting baseless claims as facts to tarnish his reputation. According to the filing, the host's assertions about Rogan's beliefs and their broader claims about his role in spreading harmful misinformation crossed a legal line, moving from protected opinion into defamatory territory. The suit argues that these statements, made on a national platform, caused significant harm to Rogan's professional standing and public image. The legal battle has sparked a firestorm of reactions, both online and in the media. Social media platforms, particularly X, have been flooded with memes and commentary, with Rogan depicted as a legal juggernaut and The View's hosts as flustered defendants. Viral posts have mocked the host's apparent lack of preparation for the consequences of their words, with one quip noting that Joy Behar just learned lawsuits aren't won by talking louder. Even Rogan's critics, who often disagree with his views, have struggled to defend The View's behavior, acknowledging that the dragon claim and the broader accusations were poorly substantiated. Meanwhile, The View's loyal fanbase, though diminished, has rallied to its defense, arguing that the hosts were merely expressing concerns about Rogan's influence. These defenders, however, have been drowned out by a broader wave of skepticism about the show's credibility. The View's history of controversial moments has not helped its case. The show has long been criticized for prioritizing outrage over accuracy, with past incidents like Whoopi Goldberg's historically inaccurate comments about the Holocaust or Joy Behar's claim that Mike Pence's religious practices indicated mental illness. These missteps, often followed by half-hearted clarifications, have cemented The View's reputation as a platform where passion frequently trumps precision. The Dragon incident fits neatly into this pattern, with the hosts' confidence in their claims undermined by their failure to verify the context of Rogan's podcast discussion. The irony is palpable. A show that prides itself on calling out misinformation now finds itself accused of spreading it. Behind the scenes, The View's production team is reportedly in crisis mode. Emergency meetings have been convened, lawyers consulted, and producers are scrambling to craft a response that mitigates the damage without admitting fault. The hosts, for their part, have adopted a public stance of defiance, with her dismissing the lawsuit as an attack on free speech and Goldberg suggesting it's a misunderstanding blown out of proportion. Austin has floated the idea of a countersuit for emotional distress, while Haynes, ever the diplomat, has remained relatively silent. The chaos is compounded by the show's format, which thrives on rapid-fire opinions and leaves little room for retraction or nuance. The prospect of a public apology, potentially court-ordered, looms large, with observers speculating that watching Goldberg or Behar admit fault would be a spectacle rivaling the show's most heated segments. Rogan's legal strategy, by contrast, appears methodical and robust. His team has compiled transcripts, podcast clips, and expert testimony to demonstrate that The View's claims were not only false, but made with reckless disregard for the truth. The lawsuit emphasizes the distinction between free speech and defamation, arguing that while the hosts are entitled to dislike Rogan or criticize his podcast, they cannot fabricate damaging claims and present them as verified facts. The $150 million figure, while eye-catching, is secondary to the broader goal, holding media outlets accountable for weaponizing their platforms to attack individuals without evidence. This lawsuit is more than a personal vendetta. It's a cultural and legal reckoning. The View operates within a specific ideological bubble, often presenting a unified front that marginalizes dissenting voices, as seen in their treatment of conservative co-hosts like Meghan McCain or Elizabeth Hasselbeck. The show's formula, combining moral outrage with selective facts, has long been a lightning rod for criticism, but it has rarely faced consequences of this magnitude. Rogan's lawsuit challenges the notion that daytime talk shows can operate with impunity, tossing out accusations without fear of reprisal. If successful, it could set a precedent that forces media personalities to think twice before making inflammatory claims, particularly when those claims are framed as indisputable truths. The broader implications extend to the evolving media landscape. Podcasts like Rogan's have disrupted traditional media, offering audiences unfiltered conversations that contrast with the polished, agenda-driven narratives of network television. The View's attack on Rogan reflects a deeper anxiety about this shift, as legacy media struggles to maintain relevance in an era where independent voices command massive followings. The host's dismissal of Rogan as a purveyor of misinformation belies their own vulnerabilities, as their show has been criticized for prioritizing sensationalism over substance. The lawsuit underscores this tension, pitting a podcasting titan against a daytime TV institution in a battle that encapsulates the clash between old and new media. Public reaction has been a mix of amusement and vindication. For Rogan's supporters, the lawsuit is a justified response to years of media smear campaigns. For critics of The View, it's a long overdue comeuppance for a show that thrives on divisiveness. Even neutral observers see the humor in the spectacle, with the image of The View's hosts grappling with legal consequences, providing endless fodder for satire. The internet has embraced the chaos, with memes imagining Rogan as a courtroom avenger and the hosts as hapless defendants in over their heads. As the case moves forward, the stakes are high for both sides. For Rogan, a victory would not only vindicate his reputation, but also reinforce his status as a formidable figure unafraid to challenge powerful institutions. For The View, a loss could be catastrophic, forcing a reevaluation of its approach and potentially leading to financial and reputational damage. The possibility of a settlement looms, but Rogan's team appears committed to seeing the case through, signaling that this is as much about principle as it is about punishment. In the end, this saga is a microcosm of larger debates about truth, accountability, and the power of words in the media age. The View's hosts, accustomed to wielding their platform with impunity, now face the reality that words have consequences, especially when they cross into defamation. Rogan, for his part, is using the legal system to draw a line in the sand, reminding the world that even the loudest voices can be held accountable. As the courtroom drama unfolds, one thing is certain: this clash will leave a lasting mark on the media landscape, forcing everyone to rethink the line between opinion and outright fabrication.